Hey, and welcome to this Table Talk Tuesday edition of Liquid Lunch on NEWSMAX TV. I'm John TABACCO, coming to you today live as we do every day, Monday to Friday, noon to 2 Eastern, from the Question Tequila Studios. We are in the downtown studios of NEWSMAX TV. Yes, Mom, we're still on Broadway. It's a great day today. Yesterday, the markets were a little tumultuous. We were celebrating. There was observation yesterday of some Jewish holidays. Again today, probably be a little more thin in the trading, in the volume area. Dow down as we speak, now up about 32 points, which is good news on a thin day. And Bitcoin at 8,300 and change, down just a smidge here. And I don't typically talk about gold. But there was a great piece on NEWSMAX today from the Birch Gold Group where they were talking about how China is engaging in all these maneuvers to displace the petrodollar, which was the global currency used to trade oil. China entered into an agreement a couple years back with Russia to do a yuan-based dollar. They're trying to displace us there. And you may want to take a look at gold right here around $1,500 because if China continues to put pressure on the U.S. dollar behind the scenes, you may want to have some gold in your portfolio because people didn't want to accept the yuan dollar because it's new, it's unstable. Everybody knows China's a socialist country, communist country, and they manipulate their dollar. So to make it more acceptable, they're backing it with gold. So China may be in the market for gold a little more. You might want to take a quick look at that. Before we get into today's exciting Table Talk show, I want to remind you, as I announced just a couple of weeks ago, I'm a shareholder in a company called InvestView. It is a global trader education company where you can go online and you can learn from their vast library of videos and training techniques and their market experts how to trade stocks. I own the stock. I'm not telling you to buy the stock. This is not a solicitation. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I do not play one on TV. And as I mentioned every day in the beginning of the show, we're coming to you from the Question Tequila Studios. So I'm typically drinking tequila, so definitely don't take financial advice from me. But there's great news on the InvestView front today. Big announcement came out. InvestView is teaming up with a company called Trader2B, led by one of my good friends, Simon Labrati. He's got 30 years in the financial tech and education trading space. Trader2B has this amazing simulated trading platform where before you go and put your money in and start trading and lose it all because you don't know what you're doing, you can go in and get real quotes and real fills in the Toro Challenge. And if you're trading on there in the simulated environment and you're doing well, the Toro folks and the guys over at Trader2B, you pass their course, you do well in the course, and they'll actually put money behind you to trade real stocks. So a lot of fun stuff going on out there in the market. We talk about all kinds of things today. We got military veteran Bill Cortez is coming up a little later on. We got our friend Jaden Horn joins us a little later with Bet DeFalco to mix it up in the Republican-Democrat spot. But now we have my good friend Nathaniel Bradley joins me today in the leadoff spot. And Nathaniel is the CEO of Data Donate Technologies. We are breaking this story right here on Liquid Lunch. Last week we had Pasquale DeLeo on from Quad M Solutions, who came up with a paradigm change in healthcare where small business owners could cut their healthcare costs in half. We've talked about privacy. We've talked about all the things Facebook and Google are doing to you, stealing your data from your phone, reselling it. We're breaking this today. Nate's here to tell us about Data Donate Technologies. Nate, tell us how you could protect people's data and then monetize it for them. This is amazing from what I'm hearing. You had this thing, the Data Refinery is one of your new products. How does a company identify, collect, and utilize this historical stuff for real-time data assets?
Well, thank you very much for having me on. And we're excited at Data Donate Technologies, where we've developed a technology, Data Vault, which is a software platform that really begins with a refinery. And what that means is that companies, we're all familiar with the big fintech companies that have monetized data, and you mentioned the social media companies that have perfected that practice as well, and often are using data that we're not even aware that they had in terms of their monetization strategy. What we have done is we've created a platform for businesses to refine their data assets and to look at data in a different paradigm, to look at all of their data, including that is data that they have created that is derivative, not inside their core business, but a derivative of the activities within their company.
So Nate, everyone says you hear that data, big data, little data, all this data, right? Let's break it down. I like to teach my audience, like, I'm sorry, Nico? Oh. What I wanted to ask you about was, everyone's talking data. All the time it's data, big data, little data. How does Facebook and Google and all these other companies, how people think they're getting this stuff free? Like, oh, I did a free search. Oh, I did a free Facebook. How are these companies really ripping people off? And it's not free, right?
Well, of course not. And the price we pay for these services, varies in really the amount in which you engage with the platforms that you utilize. When you're taking a photograph of a family member and you're uploading that, you may not be aware of the metadata and the data within the photograph and the background, and many of the extraction algorithms that these companies have perfected have increased those assets. And when we talk about the refinery that Data Vault's created, it's really about businesses being able to refine their own data, identify data that they create both in their core and derivative activities of that company, but also how much it's worth and how to monetize it. These companies that have perfected the practice of giving us a service and extracting data from us when you look at businesses, really consolidated that practice. And when we submit our business's information, which is sometimes a conglomeration of our employees and our customers, this practice is personified. And so what we have done is we've perfected a technology that allows companies to take command of these assets and to look at them in terms of their value. And we've allowed businesses now to perfect that practice for themselves and monetize on their own.
So let me ask you this. You heard me talking coming into this segment about InvestView. I just joined InvestView as their chief digital officer. I'm a shareholder. There are approximately 25 to 30,000 users and distributors of the InvestView and Kuvera Global products, these trader education products that people subscribe to. We probably aren't mining any of that stuff. So you come in with your team of experts. I know you got Joe Camarata, my good friend, is the CEO, president of the company. And Joe's probably one of the keenest, smartest guys I've ever known with data and trading and order routing. So we're going to get to the exchange part, and I'm sure that's where Joe's innovating like no one has before. But how does it start? You come in, I say to you, hey, Nate, we're doing some great things. We're teaming up with another company. We got 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 users, hopefully. How can we let the people know that there's value there? We're going to try to extract it for them and then share it with them. How does that start?
Well, it's just a tremendous opportunity. The InvestView opportunity is one in which you have already consolidated. You've created a community, a very strong, sticky community. That community can band together and create data, and that data can be monetized on behalf of the company and the users. And in our case, what we've perfected is a platform that refines data, that looks at data differently in terms of what is the buying community around different data assets, the derivative data that comes from that, and ultimately a vault that allows you your data in a virtual reality, to play with that data and combine it with other data assets, those that are publicly available to us and those that are proprietary to other companies that would partner with those data assets.
So I know Joe Camarata as good as anyone out there. I know how ingenious his mind is when you talk about you can play with the data. I'm sure you guys, I saw some of the stuff that you sent me. But it's a good user experience too, right? You give visuals, you give people a way to understand these are objects that they're in the ether. You can't touch them, you can't feel them, but you guys have created user interface where people can actually feel that they know what's there.
That's exactly right. And when you look at it, a company like InvestView has already created a lot of their data assets. When you look at data, there's historical data that has already been created and that is pre-existing, obviously. And then the forward operations of this company and the future of the company relates to data assets that enable this company to look at their historical and real-time asset in objects. And you're right about our team, including Joe, who's been a tremendous asset in terms of his asset, his capabilities taken into account. We have created a vault that does let you look at your data objects and have a user interface that ultimately has enabled companies to understand the value of the data they create and the derivatives that are in the wake of their operation.
So you're going to stick with me today. I'm going to have a couple guests. I want to let people digest and come back. I want to pick your brain a little more because we've been covering privacy a lot on the show. We're talking to the guys and girls from Cloak Phone, where they have this new phone where you can hit the button and take yourself off the grid. You can decide, hey, I want to share some data, I don't want to share some data. So I got some other cool questions that I want you to educate our audience. But final for this segment, so everyone can kind of bring this together. You got the refinery, where you take in all their stuff, and then you guys put all your algorithms and AI to work on it and scrape it up, find all the derivatives and stuff. Then you throw all that good stuff in a vault. Right?
That's right.
And you figure out, okay, what is this worth? Well, what do we do with it now? I don't know. What do we do? Well, you guys built an exchange, right? Which is the Bogota Colombia Mercantile Exchange, which is a regulated international exchange. And you've created the first ever, you're changing the game completely, the first ever exchange where you can commoditize bundles of data and people can trade it.
That's right. And the vault is, think of it as a Beckett guide or as the Kelly Blue Book of data valuation. We have a suggested retail price that we put in front of our clients that will enable them to see that value. But many of our clients, such as InvestView and others, that would add a great deal of value to that data asset based on who they are and who their community represents. And in this case, we're able to list these data objects on an exchange. You said it very well in terms of a bundle of data that is then purchasable. We bring a Bloomberg type asset to market on behalf on a registered exchange where buyers and sellers are known to us and registered and qualified to buy and sell data.
You know what? You heard it here first. Just like the stuff we were breaking last week on healthcare, the big boys, the monsters, the mockers, the Googles, the Facebooks, all the monsters that have been ripping us off for years with their rent-seeking behavior, they don't want you to know about this, but that's what we do on Liquid Lunch. We bring in the innovators, we bring in the global leaders, the thought leaders. We're changing the game every day on television because no one else drinks tequila on TV. And the people we bring on to educate you, make you aware of how you can improve yourself, they're changing the game for you and the rest of the world. We're going to take a quick break. Nate's going to hang around. He's going to come back a little later. We're going to fire some more questions at him. Fernando Uribe is coming up next. He's a New Jersey educator. He's at the Berkeley Community College out there in New Jersey. And he's been a wonderful guest. We've talked in the past about behavior on campuses, safe spaces, all the way these teachers are putting their own views on children. And there's some scary stuff, but Fernando's always here. We need to talk to him. We're going to take a quick break. Come on right back at you after this with Fernando Uribe.